At 4 a.m., the ARVM began to approach the hamlet. The VC fired the first shot, immediately killing the leading company's commander. This marked the Battle of Akbak. Resulting in the death of 3 American advisors and roughly 80 ARVN soldiers. Meanwhile, the VC were able to retreat in good order, though they also sustained a few casualties. Several American helicopters were shot down during the battle, while attempting to transport troops and provide support. The VC use of anti-aircraft fire was particularly effective, marking one of the first significant instances of US air casualties in the war. The Battle of Akbak was the first significant event where the VC caused American casualties, underscoring the necessity for specialized units to counter the Vietcong guerrilla warfare tactics during the Vietnam War.
In recent weeks in South Vietnam, primarily against the rural population, and primarily in the form of tactics designed to harass the rural population.
In November 1965, Major David Haskell Hackworth was tasked with forming a special unit known as Tiger Force. Tiger Force was a long-range reconnaissance patrol unit of the 1st Battalion 327 Infantry 1st Brigade 101st Airborne Division. Their primary purpose, as Hackworth put it, was to out-guerrilla the guerrillas. Tiger Force was to conduct deep reconnaissance missions, gather intelligence, and engage in counter-guerrilla operations against the Vietcong. They were tasked with disrupting enemy activities, targeting supply routes, and conduct search and destroy missions. Due to the nature of their mission, deep reconnaissance, search and destroy operation, and counter-guerrilla warfare, Tiger Force often operate far from main command posts and support units. This reduced direct oversight and increased reliances on reports and conduct of unit leaders on the ground. In most situations, they were allowed to make up their own decision without referring back to the command station. Unfortunately, the unit that initially began with a different purpose eventually became tasked with relocation duties in Central Highlands, essentially becoming a civilian affair unit. Despite this, they were still involved in the war in certain aspects, and the situation started to spiral out of control. Realizing that the Central Highlands might fall into the North Vietnamese hand and cut South Vietnam into two, General William Westmoreland created Task Force Oregon in February 1967, comprising numerous armies units including Tiger Force. The mission was to hunt down enemy forces and relocate local civilians to camp. Tiger Force landed in Dok Pho on May 3rd. Less than a week later, on May 8, during a morning patrol, they spotted 2 suspected Vietcongs. One man escaped by jumping into the river, but the other one was captured and tortured for 2 days. Specialist William Carpenter stated he wanted to keep the POW alive, but I know his time was up. The POW was told to flee but was fatally shot by Tiger Force soldiers. Weeks later, another man was caught and was forced to dig bunkers, then bitten with a shovel before he was fatally shot. Sergeant Forrest Miller mentioned the killing of POW was an unwritten law. The Tigers and counter snipers fired on May 15 were ambushed by North Vietnamese Battalion, resulting in 2 Tiger Force soldiers killed and 25 wounded. This incident led to psychological change among the surviving members. The unit was then assigned a new field commander, Lieutenant James Hawkins, along with 24 replacements. As new soldiers arrived, the platoon moved into Songwe Valley to relocate villagers to refugee centers. However, many villagers resisted, wanting to stay on their land because of the poor condition of the centers, which resembled prisons. Tiger Force operate in valley-burning villages to force people out. The situation grew more intense in June as they no longer targeted only prisoners but also set their sight on unarmed civilians. An elderly Buddhist monk was shot to death after he complained to the soldiers about the treatment of villagers. A grenade was then placed on his body to disguise him as an enemy militia. Private James Ibarra and Specialist Kenneth Green, who were both high school buddies from Arizona, they slit an enemy throat, scalped him, and displayed the remains on their rifle. They also killed a 15-year-old boy for his shoes. The shoes didn't fit, but Ibarra went further by cutting off the teenager's ears and placing them in a ration bag. The ear collection became richer among the platoon members, says Specialist Carpenter. Former platoon medic Larry Cottingham also mentioned, there was a period when just about everyone had a necklace of ears.
Right. And this was the incident with the tennis shoes.
Right, Sam had he had the tennis shoes, and Sam also, he had a ration bag that he would keep these ears in, and also scalp locks that he would salt down, try to preserve them, but put him in salt in it. But he would carry it, because I know on this one occasion, Sam had a bag with some gold teeth and different things in it that he had taken off of people that he killed. Well, we had, after we got out, then we'd taken some sniper fire, so we left the area in a hurry, and Sam was really upset, in fact, because he couldn't go back, and he didn't really realize at first that he had left the contents of that bag on a rock, and he wasn't able to retrieve it. So.
On July 23rd, the platoon encountered an elderly carpenter named Dao Hui. While walking home along the river, Dao Hui was confronted by soldiers. He was grabbed by Sergeant Leo Haney. The elderly man, carrying basket filled with geese, was terrified and pleaded for mercy. Realizing Dao poses no threat, Sergeant Haney escorted him to the platoon leaders, Lieutenant James Hawkins and Sergeant Harold Trout. Trembling and babbling, Dao was met with violence. Lieutenant Hawkins shook him and cursed, and without warning, Sergeant Trout clubbed him with an M16 rifle, causing a severe hit wound. Despite a medic's attempt to trick him, Lieutenant Hawkins lifted Dao and shot him in the face with carbine 15 rifle, killing him instantly. In a sworn statement, Specialist Carpenter confirmed the old man was unarmed and harmless. Although Lieutenant Hawkins denied the allegation in 1973 interview with Army investigators, he later admitted that he killed Dao to prevent him from drawing enemy attention.
An old man up, and he was carrying, I believe it to be geese and some type of Hawkins. Well, he started making all this different noise and yelling and everything, and so beating on the farmer. And we were just trying to explain to Hawkins he was just a farmer and all this stuff. He didn't want to exert his authority about what was going on, and anyway, he shot the guy point blank in the head when I was, and at first I thought I was hit also, because what it was the guy's skull exploding, and, contents of the skull being sprayed.
Over the next 10 days, soldiers rampaged through the valley, and on July 28, they caught 12-year-old Wal Tai Kan and executed his two blind friends. Platoon members were ordered to open fires on 10 elderly farmers in a rice paddy. The image of their bodies scattered across the green field remains etched in memories of Tiger Force soldiers and the villagers of Wenchuan. Specialist William Carpenter stated, "We killed about 10 of the farmers, then stopped firing." Sergeant Forrest Miller also mentioned, "We had received no incoming fires from the village, and the people in the field, about 10%, both male and females, were shot. The order of fire came from Lieutenant Hawkins, the patrol leader." Both statements were basically the same. The farmers were shot without warning, and Hawkins admitted he ordered the shootings. In early August near a hamlet, a Tiger Force soldier saw two women approaching. Lieutenant Hawkins immediately ordered the troops to open fire, injuring one of the women. Both were later to be found unarmed and elderly and were carried away by helicopter. Moving north, the platoon left Songwe Valley on August 10 and joined Operation Wheeler. Within 18 days, 5 Tiger Force soldiers died and 12 were wounded. The soldiers soon learned this was different from Songwe Valley. "We soon find ourselves face to face with the enemy," recalled William Carpenter. In August near July, Private James Corgan wounded an elderly man before another platoon member kills him. Sergeant William Doyle shot an unarmed teenager in the back and a North Vietnamese prisoner assigned to the unit as an interpreter. Villagers routinely ran to underground bunkers for safety when soldiers approached, whether Americans or North Vietnamese. Tiger Force soldiers recall seeing women and children crawl into the bunkers. When the soldiers reached the entrance, they knew what to do, Private Ken Kearney told the investigators. In August near July, without trying to communicate, soldiers dropped grenades into 3 underground bunkers filled with Vietnamese men, women, and children. Soldiers heard cries from bunkers but did nothing to help. Charles Felton remembered, "We kept hearing human sounds which came from the direction of the bunkers. They were the sound of people that had been hurt and trying to get someone's attention to get help. Although faint, they were clear." The next day, soldiers saw bodies of women and children lying on the roadway. Villagers later removed the bodies and no weapons or evidence of a threat were found. In late August near Tom Key, Sergeant William Doyle shot a farmer in the forearm, then ordered the troops to kill the man as he begged for his life. The man was executed. The confrontation started when the platoon entered a clearing near Annamese Mountains and were greeted by smiling villagers holding leaflets for evacuation. Sergeant Bernard said they were happy as hell to see us. However, the situation turned deadly when Sergeant William Doyle began questioning a farmer about Wacong in the village. Despite the farmer's pledge to protect his family and show where the enemy was hiding, Doyle struck him and shot him through the arm. Medic Ralph Mayhew recalled, "The Vietnamese fell to his knees and spoke tearfully in his language. I didn't like the sight of it, so I turned away and walked away from the area." Doyle then ordered the farmer to be killed. The farmer's 16-year-old brother was brought in and thrown next to the dead body. A soldier pointed a handgun at the boy's head until Sergeant Brunner intervened. The teenager and his family were safely taken away the next day.
Yeah, he said, well, he didn't say you executed him. He said that you shot him in like the forearm, and then after he didn't give any answers, then you ordered the platoon to execute him, and the platoon did. Mm-hmm.
I had my rifle on rock and roll, and the goddamn thing misfired. You only fire one round, hit him in the arm.
Oh, so you wanted to kill him?
No, I had full intended to kill that son of a bitch.
Yeah.
My rifle misfired. When my rifle misfired, one of them other guys hit him.
I see.
That's what happened.
On August 21st near July, soldiers tied up and tortured a prisoner, then told him to run. He was fatally shot as he ran away. In late August until September, between Tom Key and July, Private Sam Ibarra and Specialist Kenneth Green bragged about sexually assaulting a 13-year-old girl before slicing her throat during a search and destroy mission, according to 5 former Tiger Force soldiers and 2 sergeants. In November near July, former Private Douglas Teeters recalled the villagers who were waving leaflets requesting for relocation were caught in a crossfire when enemy forces fired from a different direction. As the troops returned fire, they indiscriminately shot at everyone in sight, killing 6 civilians. On September 29, 1967, the platoon was ambushed and Specialist Private Green was shot in the leg. As he was being dragged away by a medic, he was shot in the head and died in front of his friend. This event deeply affected Private Sam Ibarra, who vowed to avenge Green's death. Over the next 2 months, Ibarra became one of the platoon's most prolific killers. During a village sweep near Chuloy, he committed a brutal act by decapitating an infant to remove a necklace. Several soldiers reported that Ibarra later bragged about killing the baby, leading to an army investigation into Tiger Force. To cover up their action, platoon leaders started labeling dead civilians as enemy soldiers, according to 5 former soldiers. Army logs confirmed this, showing that for the 10 days starting November 11, the platoon claimed to have killed 49 Vietcongs, but no weapons were found in 46 of these cases. Former medic Rion Cosley recalled, "We were called into the radio 7 VC running from hurt, shot and killed. Hell, they weren't running. We didn't know if they were VCs."
So anyhow, he takes off after him. We went over in the most neat, uniform-looking little farm you'd ever want to see in Vietnam. And after we got in the area, and we were out came a little mama san, and we were rapping her. And just in the side of the earth, this guy broke out, and he had a little cave that he had been in there, and he came out that he heard American voices, and he wanted his family out of the area. Then he was going to show us where there's some VC, because they've been making him work farms and stuff for him, and then he could only spend a short time from his family. But once we moved in the area, the Chu Hoi, that's where he could come over to us. But this lieutenant wanted to know where these VC were right then. He didn't care if the family went out or not. And so then some of his crazies were already looking around, and there was another farm next to it, and I heard an explosion. So as I left, I could see they were beating the hell out of this guy. And so I went over. My guys were out on perimeter, pulling guard duty, and his people were running around blowing up this place. And so I ran over. They had thrown a frag down in this tunnel, and this other guy's family, his wife's family, was on this farm. And so here's, I'd say, approximately his and hers and them's and those 12 family members. We're getting them all around, and they're coming up, but they're happy to see us until they start seeing this guy getting beat up. And I heard a couple shots, and I come running around the corner. This guy was running, and they fired at him, and the guy fired his M79 grenade launcher, and a round hit this guy in the head, and this guy ought to be glad it didn't go off, because it would have messed some of us up. But instead, again, I get this guy, it hit him in the head, and the round didn't go off, but it killed him, and when it hit his head, it just exploded, and brains were all over me, and this sort of thing, and well, then that really pissed me off. And so my guys by then came in to see what was going on. So here we are almost fighting our own people. And I mean, to me, this is what you call murder. I mean, they flat murdered the guy. And so we had a lot of conflict then, and we got on out of the area and took some of the people the kids, the family that looked like the military age, moved back up in the night perimeter, and the next morning a chopper came in and pulled me out, because I'd locked and loaded this lieutenant. So they pulled me out, and I had to go to the rear, and they were going to court-martial me, and I had to go see a shrink. And then as the word started coming around what happened, things kind of quieted down. And so out to the bush I went. But they were always kind of looking at me like there's something a little different about me. And of course, I knew damn well there was something different about them.
Toward the end of Operation Wheeler, an order came over the radio remembered by 7 soldiers years later, setting a goal for the battalion. We won a body count of 327, matching the battalion's infantry designation, the 327. 3 former soldiers swore under oath that the order came from Ghost Rider, the radio name used by Colonel Moss. Army's radio logs confirmed the goal was achieved, with Tiger Force reporting the 327 killed on November 19. Colonel Moss, who retired in 1979, denied giving such an order, calling it ridiculous. Former Private John Collingen and Sergeant Barnett confirmed hearing this order, with Collingen stating the soldier who reached the goal was promised a reward. 3 former soldiers say the goal was partially met by killing villagers. The exact number of unarmed civilians killed by Tiger Force from May through November 1967 remains unknown. Former medic Rion Corsi say the platoon killed 120 villagers in 1 month alone. Harold Fisher recalled, "We would go into village, just shoot everybody. We didn't need an excuse. If they were there, they were dead."
Happened that were you there that day?
You know, somebody should have kept on planting rice. You don't put your head up and look at somebody when you're planting rice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you don't even kill with a look.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody wants to live, his head down and planting rice.
Right, so they were killed because they looked at you guys? Is that what happened?
Yeah, more or less. It comes to your attention, you pull the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if it crosses your mind to pull the trigger, you want to live, you pull it.
Mm-hmm.
Because any mistake you make in your own favor. You know, what everybody did out there, everybody was supposed to cover each other's ass, and if they didn't, they were in mortal danger. And that's just the way it was. Hell, we were living day to day. We didn't expect to live. Nobody out there has any brains expected to live. Surprised to be alive next week. So, you know, you did any goddamn thing you felt like doing. And especially to stay alive. I'm not saying you give up and die. You struggle to live. But the way to live is to kill. Because you don't have to worry about anybody that's dead. But you have to worry about the living. So the idea is if it crosses your mind, you pull the trigger. If it just crosses your mind, you pull the trigger.
So in other words, if you went into a village and you weren't sure...
If I walked into a village and everybody wasn't prostrate on the ground, I shot those standing up.
I mean, I think I speak for every surviving member of the Tigers there. I mean, no one wanted to kill him. If that was the case, he would have never been taken prisoner. You know, it was wrong. I mean, this is just some poor farmer, and I would just like the people to know that what went on that night with him being murdered, that was not what the American soldier was about. The American soldier was altogether... Hawkins does not epitomize what the American soldier is. I mean, the majority of the people out there thought that was totally wrong. And, you know, I would like to tell his family that, you know, that on his behalf, I'm sorry. I mean, I tried to prevent it and almost got myself shot in the process of preventing it.